We begin with the headlines. In the ongoing Connecting with the People store, President Adama Barrow unveils dozens of planned projects to be implemented by his government. Stakeholders meet to validate the draft pensioners bill, seeking to ensure that pensioners live a comfortable life after retirement. And Gambian-born NBA star Dennis Schroeder takes to the court at the Independence Stadium for an exhibition game marking his return to the country. Plus, in Tunisia, government plans increase investments in renewable energy to offset the country's huge energy demands. And Nigeria launches West Africa's first light railway system, an $800 million project aimed at boosting public transport in Abuja. These and many more coming ahead in this hour. I am Ibrahim Jata. Welcome back and thanks for joining us on the GRTS News. His Excellency President Adama Barrow has said that his government has secured funding for the implementation of 42 projects in the next 3 years. President Barrow made the revelations at SL in the Lower Nyumi, where he held his first meeting marking the beginning of a 10-day Connecting with the People tour. Mamadou Diallo is accompanying the President and sends in this report.
The State House to undertake a 10-day tour of the country in fulfillment of a constitutional requirement. It mandates him to tour the country at least once in a year. He was seen off at the Banjul Ferry Terminal by senior government officials and service chiefs. At Barra, President Barrow was received by the governor of the North Band region and other regional authorities as he disembarked from the ferry. Outside the terminal, residents of Barra lined the streets to cheer the entourage as it slowly made its way to SO for the first meeting. It provided a platform for residents of Lower Nyomi to lay their problems bare to the President, who is out to address their pressing challenges. As expected, discussions were dominated by issues concerning agriculture, provision of water and electricity. Karamo Jammeh cited the provision of 24-hour electricity as a major development. That has greatly improved the lives of residents, but appealed to the government to provide water to the communities who struggle to access this basic ingredient in some parts of Nyomi. Fatou Seka informed the President that the women of Nyomi are largely engaged in horticultural gardening, but are handicapped by lack of water and access to markets for their produce. She also cited lack of milling machines as a major impediment to their salvation, as women still use manual labor to process food. The National Assembly member for Lower Nyomi, Mutar Jeng, deplored the unhygienic state of the Barra market and garage, which he argued needs serious attention to improve the infrastructure. He also appealed to the President to prioritize the construction of the Hakala Road and provide fertilizer to farmers at a subsidized rate. The Ministers of Agriculture, Local Government and Tourism took turns to assure the people of Nyomi of the government's commitment to their welfare. The Agriculture Minister Lamin Dambu Diba revealed that government has secured fertilizer at a subsidized rate, which will be distributed to farmers. Local Government Minister Musa Drame said the area councils will partner with GAMWorks for the rehabilitation of the Barra market and garage, whilst a new market will be constructed in Esau. Ahmad Ba, on the other hand, said new hotels will be built along the Barra coastline, but urged communities to preserve their forests. President Barrow said national development is a challenging burden which requires collective participation. The last 2 decades, he said, have been difficult, but that's why the next 3 years will be critical for the Gambia as he starts implementing the National Development Plan. He urged local communities to complement his government efforts, saying the future looks bright and promising. He singled out the youth as his focus, promising to build hotels that will create 6,000 jobs in the next 3 years. The President also revealed that funding has been secured to provide 25 boreholes this year and another 60 boreholes next year to provide water to communities across the country. This will be capped with the most ambitious of all projects, which will potentially explore the possibility of building a bridge linking Barra and Banjul. The foundation for such a groundbreaking project, the President said, will be laid next year. President Barrow later left for Al Jamdu, where he addressed a similar meeting. Mamadou Diallo, GRTS News.
And still on the President's Connecting with the People tour, the Gambian leader and entourage, among them cabinet ministers and development experts, also held different consultative meetings in the North Bank settlements of Al Jamdu, Medina Sitting Mas, and Dar Salame. Sumajatama is among the reporters covering the nationwide engagement, and he now reports.
Several speakers at the meetings voiced out their challenges in agriculture, health, road network, security, fisheries, water and electricity, amongst others, as major problems hampering their development efforts, while appealing for government swift intervention. The Ministers for Agriculture, Lands, Tourism and Interior, Lamin N. Diba, Musa S. Drame, Hamad N. Keba and Ibrahim Ambalo respectively responded that plans are underway to address the highlighted problems under their ministries. The President of the Republic of the Gambia, Adama Barrow, noted that over $1 billion pledges made by European Union countries is earmarked to bankroll 42 projects of the National Development Plan.
Tubabo jannabe ma ko la foy kayit ko foy wala nyitala yedali lol nyitala o national development plan nyin kono seno bijele jara kende abunda bije karamo bunda bije silol la bunda bije communication o bunda bije femfe ye mira me alon ko nyanda masakunda sambara nyato abebu bunda ba kono.
This project, he maintained, will accelerate the general well-being of all Gambians. Suma Jadama reporting for Grts. Several speakers at the meetings voiced out their challenges in agriculture, health, road network, security, fisheries, water and electricity, amongst others, as major problems hampering their development efforts, while appealing for government swift intervention. The Ministers for Agriculture, Lands, Tourism and Interior, Lamin N. Diba, Musa S. Drame, Hamad N. Keba and Ibrahim Ambalo respectively
Acting with the People's Store immediately after this newscast, and the news continues with the Gambia Revenue Authority on Tuesday, who have organized a seminar at the Management Development Institute. The program is targeting tertiary institutions, regional authorities, and the business community, and seeks to widen the authority's tax-based resource mobilization. Details in this report by Fatou Alika Mulusi.
The one-day sensitization seminar by the Gambia Revenue Authority gathered stakeholders from relevant institutions to broaden their understanding on tax-based resources. The Commissioner General of GRA, Yankuba Dabo, said the event is part of the authority's outreach programs to educate and enlighten people on their tax obligations, to improve tax compliance and enhance revenue collection.
In January 2018, the GRA, together with the Minister of Finance, had undertaken reforms aimed at revising tax rates in some key revenue lines. This includes, among others, rental income tax, corporate income tax, employment tax, and individual income tax. The duty rates on the rice have also been reduced from 10% to 0%. It is our hope that these reforms will accord a positive impact on the living standards of the citizenry.
According to GRA's Director General, the program is funded by UNDP through the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. The Deputy Commissioner General of GRA, Esa Jallo, recalled that the MDI seminar is the third of its kind after that of the Gambia Technical Training Institute and the Gambia College. He called on people to pay their taxes to be able to hold government accountable for their development needs.
Once you are aware of your tax obligations, at this early stage, you will contribute your fair share to the national revenues, which coincidentally makes you good citizens who contribute towards national development. GRA organizes seminars of this nature to improve tax compliance in our country so as to widen the tax base and improve our domestic resource mobilization capabilities.
The registrar at the MDI, Salif Job, highlighted the need to partner with GRA and introduce taxation as a module in their school curriculum.
As we move on, new courses are introduced depending on demand or on relevance. And then nobody can underrate the importance of tax in a developing country. We will have to work together with GRA to see how it can be coopted into our programs, starting it as a module and then later try to develop it into a program.
One of the participants, Ibrahim Asane, hailed the organizers for initiating such a program that will enhance their understanding about taxation. He promised to share the knowledge gained from the training with their colleagues.
our tax money is the wealth of the nation. So we have to educate the outside people on what their tax money is used on, how to pay their tax, and on how and where the government will use their tax money on.
For Grts News, I am Fatini Kamaloshi.
Officials of the Personnel Management Office on Tuesday validated the draft pensions bill. It is set to enhance the lives of pensioners and ensure that they live a comfortable life after retirement. Umijaya covered the validation meeting that brought together different stakeholders.
Officials representing multiple government institutions gathered to validate the draft pensioner scheme. Specialists described the bill as a timely and much-needed document, as it includes huge benefits and reforms that are in line with the Gambia's National Development Plan. The current pension scheme for civil servants has very limited benefits that cannot maintain a reasonable standard of living for retirees. That being a huge challenge for pensioners, the Gambia government deemed it necessary to review the decades-old pensioner scheme that contained many provisions that are no longer applicable to the present pension needs of the Gambia.
This draft bill proposes a corresponding increase of pension to the consumer price index. This will help to improve the ability of our retirees to consume goods and services, hence continue to live a decent standard of living. Consequently, the problem of contract appointment will be minimized, especially for those not willing to leave the service due to the appalling retirement benefits.
The newly validated pension scheme highlights major proposals, including a policy shift that will reflect the realities of present-day Gambia.
It is necessary to emphasize that pension reform is among the key priorities of this government. That pension reform and the benefits provided by the scheme at retirement are low. In fact, generally too low to maintain a reasonable standard of living for the retirees.
Stakeholders present at the validation meeting will thoroughly scrutinize the bill and make sure it is relevant to our needs.
It is thus absolutely vital that the current Pension Act is reviewed and a new act established to reform and enhance an effective and efficient pension scheme. The completion and validation of this document is therefore timely in complementing government's efforts in the implementation of the National Development Plan and the Civil Service Reform Strategy 2018-2027.
Pension reform is one of the Gambia government's priority areas. The validated pension scheme will address the inadequacy of the current pension bill and will equally improve the ability of retirees, both socially and economically, to continue living a decent life even after retirement. Ominjai, GRTS.
Now, more witnesses continue to appear before the Commission of Inquiry as probes continue into former President Jammeh's financial dealings. As educator attended the latest sittings and see further in this report.
For months now, the Jammeh Commission of Inquiry has continued its probe into former government's financial dealings, with investigations of over dozens of individuals since its start last year. Most of the appearances made in recent times have been familiar faces, whose summon at the Commission varies, depending on the issue on focus, whilst others still shed light on issues whose clarity were questioned by Commission members. Former Secretary General Julia D. Joyner is one of them.
The chairman was actually assuring the meeting that government would provide the financing. And that's why I ask you whether you're in a position to elaborate.
Well,
since
maybe
the chairman
this was the...
Sorry, Mrs. Joyner, if I may finish. Since the chairman was from your office.
Yes, Madam. What I'm saying is the chairman worked directly with the president, and there was the permanent secretary, Department of State for Finance, in this meeting. So this relates to some financial agreement that I was not in control of.
So you were not aware that the 5 million being referred is the 5 million that was set aside for the Emalis Blackstone generating set?
She, with many others, were summoned. One among them is Navy Commander Komodo Madani Senghor, who was summoned to explain the issue of a land belonging to the Navy, located in the capital city.
Who owns the Navy land from which you relocated?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay. How long was the Navy occupying that land before you relocated?
I joined the Navy in 1988, and I was recruited from that site. And it has since been the Naval Command up to when we relocated sometime in 2010.
Series of other revelations followed as done in previous days, each giving testimonies in accordance to the issue on focus. As it stands, Commission members are still on the move to get to the bottom of the financial dealings of the former president. For Grts News, I am Aissatou Keita.
The former Minister of Agriculture, Omar Amadou Jallow, alias OJ, has filed a defamation lawsuit before the High Court against the Kil Fatu Media Group, claiming $20 million. OJ also seeks $1 million to cover legal and administrative costs. Mr. Jallow's lawsuit, which is anchored on his alleged involvement in the sale of expired fertilizers, could not proceed as one of 3 defendants was not served with a court notice. Adjudicating the case, Justice Fatou Saho Sise adjourned hearings to October 15th for both parties to be served with a notice. According to the read of summons, ex-Minister Jallow is claiming an order of mandatory injunction compelling defendants to jointly and severally remove and withdraw the defamatory publications from all their online news platforms and websites forthwith. Moving on, the Many Young Youth Association was formally launched in Kerouan, North Bank region. The association is meant to help in promoting development activities in the community. Senam Jain tells us more.
After years of existence and its recent registration, youths of Kerouan officially launched the Minimin Young Balong Youth Association. Talibuya Jawara, a member of the youth group, stated that the association targets youth within the North Bank region with the objective to initiate activities that will improve the living standard of the community of Kerouan and beyond. Its first achievements include the renovation of the community police station and a presentation of items worth $19,000 formally received by the Kerouan station officer Faburama Koli. Graced by the governor of the North Bank region, Ibrahima El Danfa, expressed gratitude to the youth and encouraged them to work together and initiate their own developments.
Development, as it were, in this third dispensation is to be headed by our own selves. We don't allow the government to lead your development. We don't allow outsiders to dictate your development. You decide to make sure that you dictate. You have control over your own development. And that's what this government is.
While seeking support from the public, the president of the association, Mamadou Drame, assured their continuous efforts to implement programs advancing community and national development. Sainabu Jai for Grts News.
The Kail Kafo Association of Kintakunda Janaya, in collaboration with the management of the Kintakunda Janaya Lower Basic School, recently marked the graduation of the latest batch of pupils in the school. Sedo Kamara has more in this report.
It was a joyous moment for the Kairakafo Association of Kintakunda Janaya and the Lower Basic Schools, which was established in 1932. Families and friends, as well as pupils of the school, gathered for the end of another educational cycle for these pupils. The headmaster of Kintakunda Janaya Lower Basic Schools, Baturu Sise, thanked the Kairakafo for collaborating with the management of the school to successfully making this day possible.
Instead, some parents still prefer their children to go to Arabic school, while some are reluctant to send their children to either of them. This is a clear violation of human rights and contrary to the Children Act in the Constitution of the Gambia.
Father of Kairakafo Association Lankonte challenged the community to do more to improve the status of the school and provide a better learning environment for the children.
really pleased that Kairakafo has given me that opportunity to give back to the community that has made me who I am today. So this means a lot to me. I have to work hard. This education is not easy, it's not cheap. You know, it requires a lot of sacrifice. It requires a lot of dedication.
What I was just saying in the Mandinka to the student, like, we are not just giving it to you because we can afford it. This is like a loan to you because we see already that we can do this for you, for the betterment of tomorrow. We also expect you to do the same thing for the future kids. So it is not just a grant that we will just forget. We have to follow it up until to the last dot. We'll keep monitoring them and then make sure that they also grow to the highest.
The guest speaker of the event, Kemo Eskinte, the former people of the primary school, called on the parents to build a solid foundation for their children. He urged the young people of the community to take up professional skills that will gain them a better future.
In this region here, enrollment is not a problem, but the problem is retention. Usually, the number that starts the lower basic, if you go through the years up to grade 12, you will realize that it's almost half or less than half that are completing school. So meaning that we are still struggling with retention. Those who start schools in the lower basic, like grade 1, usually it's not the same number. It's far below that number that are completing grade 12. We have to take ownership as a community. The school did not belong to the teachers, it belongs to the community. And that's what I even advise. We have to take full responsibility of the school and take serious part in the day-to-day running of the school.
At the end of the ceremony, prizes were given to deserving peoples and teachers. The gathering was entertained by the well-known Bantaba Kachakas, with Mohamed Dabo and Alaji Bora taking turns to express their creative talents. Saidu Kamara, GRTS News.
Supporting children's education in Kintakunda, Janaya, a water course there by the Kairakafo Foundation. Time now to take our first break. The news continues in just a moment.
Packaged drinking water gets the best out of you.
This must be one of Mother Nature's greatest gifts. But there's something else it gives us. When we see such beauty, we want to share it with those we love. That's why we want you to see it, just as we see it now. LG OLED TV.
Welcome back to the GRTS News, and now time for some sports. A crowd of curious spectators Friday evening gathered at the Independence Stadium in Bakau to see Gambian-born NBA star Dennis Schroeder in action. Dennis, who plays for the Atlanta Hawks, was shooting around with local Gambia Basketball Association League players. Our sports producer Momo Jani was there and filed in this report.
It is not common to shoot around with an NBA player, but it's even less common to shoot around with a Gambian-born NBA player. Last Friday, the dream of many, including myself, was realized as we were privileged to share the Independence Stadium basketball court with Atlanta Hawks point guard Dennis Schroeder. Yes, he is Gambian by birth, and his mom prefers to speak in Wolof. He has been coming home recently to see his family, as well as chip in towards the development of the sport. The 24-year-old down-to-earth and soft-spoken star is a starter for his franchise Atlanta Hawks, and he just recently signed a 4-year contract worth $70 million. He is guaranteed over $17 million per season, plus bonuses. With some of his money, Dennis intends to embark on a massive development project, which will see an indoor basketball gym erected with proper wooden court, amongst other things, in the next couple of years.
I heard they're closing this down, because of the raining season, and that can't happen. They got to have something where they can practice every day. I wanted to have something like what we have in Atlanta, where people, just come with their normal clothes, and in the locker room, in the dressing room, they got their all stuff. They got shoes, they got shorts, jerseys, and then when they're done, they just put it in the basket. They clean it for them, I just try to do the same thing here, build the same culture, and everything I have, I try to do it.
While scrimmaging with some of Gambia's finest ballers, he appeared to be home and amongst friends. His advice to youths aspiring to achieve their dreams as a basketball player or any other sport was to work hard and stay in school. During the heat of the scrimmage, he took time to elaborate on the importance of a strong foundation.
My mom is from Gambia, born and raised. I'm related to this, to this country. Africa, I think, we just try to give back, all these people here, these young guys, I used to be young, and people try to help me out, and I just try to do the same thing. I see all these people happy, playing basketball, and I just try to develop basketball here so people, can reach their goal as well, even in Europe or in the NBA, in America. So I just try to give everything I have for them here to develop basketball.
Basketball is definitely not a national sport and does not attract a lot of publicity. But with a Gambian-born NBA star in the mix, there is a quiet confidence amongst members of the Gambia Basketball Association and the players that there might be light at the end of the tunnel after all. As a token of appreciation for being received as one of our own, Dennis has brought with him basketball shoes to be distributed to various teams in the Gambia Basketball Association League for players to use. For GRTS, I am Modu Jang.
Basketball finally coming home to the Gambia. Welcome home, Dennis. And time now to take our second break. International news is up next. Don't go away.
And you get half the price, double the data, and 10 times the speed?
Yes, only with AfriCell. Your favorite GSM operator, AfriCell, has done it again. AfriCell has brought you an unbeatable offer. Buy a MiFi router or a data card for half the price, double the megabytes, and get a speed 10 times faster.
Yes! Get a MiFi router today for only $2,000 and get 4 gigabytes of internet data for free. This is what the company with the fastest internet speed in the country can do.
Say what?
And that's not all. You can also buy a data card for only $1,500 and get 2 gigabytes of internet data for free.
This is an offer no one dares to match.
Where AfriCell goes, no one has the speed to follow.
Welcome back to GRTS News. In Tunisia, energy sector experts say the country's power bill is becoming a major headache for the government. In this year's budget, the government allocated $1 billion to energy subsidies. But it's not enough. Now the country plans to increase investment in renewable energy to reduce strain on the national grid. CGTN's Adnan Houachi has more.
The Tunisian Minister of Energy announced that the state has opted for renewable energy instead of hydrocarbons as an effective solution to reduce oil consumption.
The value of state energy subsidy was set at 2.5% of GDP, or about $1 billion, in order to preserve the balance of the state budget, but it has become a real burden. Investing in and developing renewable energy projects is no longer a choice, it is a necessity.
The minister added that the last cabinet meeting held on energy challenges decided measures to reduce the energy bill for families benefiting from a large part of the subsidy of the state and the number of 1,200,000 families.
The project involves replacing old refrigerators with new energy-efficient ones and introducing photovoltaic solar panels to families with reduced electricity consumption, as well as encouraging municipalities, public institutions, and mosques to control their energy consumption.
Dozens of solar and renewable energy projects have been created. They have been financed in partnership between the state and the private sector.
It's very important for a Tunisian company to benefit from state subsidies to develop its equipment and research on photovoltaic panel. Tunisia is investing in renewable energies for environmental and economic reasons.
Experts maintain that as long as there is sunshine, solar energy can be deployed anywhere. This is particularly useful for inner regions with no access to any other source of electricity.
Tunisian authorities assert that the state is moving forward with renewable energy projects. In the meantime, it will continue its support for the poor, keeping the same price for a domestic bottle of gas and continuing to subsidize 2/3 of its value for families who consume less than 100 megawatts of electricity per month. Aden Shawishi, CGTN, Tunis.
Elsewhere in Africa, the First Light railway system in West Africa has been launched in the Nigerian capital, Abuja. The $800 million project is the first phase of a grand plan to build a comprehensive metro railway system to boost public transport in Abuja. That brings us to the end of this news bulletin, but before we go, a quick recap of the day's main stories. In the ongoing Connecting with the People store, President Adama Barrow has unveiled dozens of planned projects to be implemented by his government. Stakeholders are meeting to validate the draft pensioners bill, which seeks to ensure that pensioners live a more comfortable life after retirement. And Gambian-born NBA star Dennis Schroeder has taken to the court at the Independence Stadium for an exhibition game marking his return to the country. And in Tunisia, government is planning increased investment in renewable energy to offset the country's spiraling energy demands. Plus, Nigeria has launched West Africa's first light railway system, an $800 million project aimed at boosting public transport in Abuja. That's all in this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and we'll stay with GRTS. Join us at 10 o'clock for another bulletin.